Okay, WebAssign. So if you're tutoring any of the math classes, you're gonna run into this, okay? So are students allowed to do WebAssign in tutoring sessions?
In the labs?
In the labs,
yes.
They are, but
in
not
one-on-one or small group sessions, they cannot.
Cannot, okay. So that's always an issue because students just want to do their homework and they don't want to actually learn anything, right? So sort of how can you like help them without being like, pull up the WebAssign? So one of the things I always do is encourage students to attempt the WebAssign before they come in, right? And then they can say, hey, there were 3 questions, this is what they looked like, can we go over this content, right? And then you can make up some questions that sort of look like what they're talking about, right? You can have them print off the assignment and bring a hard copy so you can at least see it, and then you can go over problems that look like those WebAssign problems, right? So they can be doing those actual problems, but you can say, oh, okay, so this is like, you know, compound interest, and make up some compound interest problems, and so they can practice doing it, and then when they go back and do the WebAssign, they're prepared, right? And they can have those example problems in their notebook that they did, and it'll help them complete the homework, right? Encourage them to attempt your problems on their own, ask questions when they get stuck, right? So you're not just being like, okay, this is how you do this, you put it in the calculator, right? Have them get up at the board and be engaged, right? Ask students probing questions to help them figure it out, right? Don't allow them to become overly frustrated. We talked about this. Sometimes directly answering a question when a student is struggling is the best thing to do. But again, a really powerful way to learn is to come to your own understanding. So there's a balance between, you know, giving them too much information and not enough. If students have not attempted the WebAssigns before, have them print out a hard copy. We talked about this. Go over the content that's assigned. Again, make a problem similar to the one on the assignment. Okay? But you can't go over those exact problems. And then the last thing is limits to expertise, right? So you guys all have probably areas of expertise or content that you're most comfortable with. You're not the instructor, so you're probably not going to know every single thing that the student is taught, and students are certainly going to ask you questions that you don't know the answer to, and that's fine. One of the things that you can do when you run into that is work through problems or concepts together with your student and collaborate, right? Show them how that you persist in the face of challenges and they can do the same thing, right? And I think that's really powerful for students because they feel like they're sort of at an equal level with you for a little bit, and that's really powerful. That ups their confidence. They feel really good because, hey, I'm like working together with my tutor, who they will think that you are like the smartest person in the world because you know how to do this math stuff that they really struggle with, right? And that's gonna feel really good for them. Model enthusiasm for learning. So, like, it's not a bad thing if you don't know every single thing that they're asked, and you can be really enthusiastic about learning something with them, right? So if they ask you a question, be like, you know what, I'm not really sure, let's look in the book, let's figure this out together, this is great, I'm so excited about this. Show them the satisfaction of finding the correct answer. Again, when you're working together, you're working through something that's really difficult, you finally get an answer, so satisfying. Don't be afraid to make mistakes, okay? Just like you wouldn't want your student to be afraid to make mistakes, you shouldn't be afraid to make mistakes either. Encourage them to teach you things, like, hey, what did they say about this in class? Let's look through your notes, what do you know about this? Together we can come to some understanding. And then approach the problem or concept as equals. Okay, so far, any questions? A couple of resources that I wanted to point out for you guys. Crash Course is a YouTube series. It's really good. The science stuff is really good. So if you want to review stuff, this is really good. If your students are confused on something, check this out too. It's a sort of different way of explaining things. That might be really helpful. They have chemistry, biology, psychology, physics, anatomy, and physiology. Khan Academy, most people know about Khan Academy, right? There's a YouTube series and a website that's really good. Purple Math is really good. And then this is something that I discovered this summer actually when I was looking for a graphing calculator to show something for my students. The Desmos graphing calculator is amazing. It's like full screen. it's awesome. In the pre-calc class, there's a ton of graphing stuff and a lot of translations, and so we would put like the original equation up and then show the different translations all on the same graph. It's really good. They do it in different colors. It's great. I highly recommend it. 10 out of 10. And then in the math lab, there's textbooks for Math 105, stats, calculus,
and then we're gonna print the pre-calc.
the pre-calc, which is 107, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. So there's all those textbooks. If a lot of the textbooks are online, and I find that really irritating, so we printed out some of the ones that are online. So if you like that, run into the math lab, take a look at something, pull it into a tutoring session, whatever you gotta do. There's fact sheets in there too, so there's a unit circle, there's fact sheets on completing the square, and foiling, and PEMDAS, and probably a bunch of other stuff too. And then the math lab tutors, some of you guys in here I know are math lab tutors. If you are confused on something or you need help, like run into the math lab and say, hey, like, do you guys know how to do this? Like, I have a student who's asking a question. My office is right next to the math lab, so you can always come into my office and ask a question. Sometimes I'll go into the math lab and help with people in there. So we all are like trying to do this together. So use your fellow tutors, use the resources that you have. Don't be afraid to do that. Okay. A couple of concluding thoughts. Patience. This is sometimes difficult because sometimes you're working with students who don't maybe value learning as much as you do. And so having patience and understanding why they might feel that way and why their attitude is that way is really important. Encourage students to persist through challenges. For some students, the math and science courses are going to be the toughest ones they take at the university. And so you get to be part of helping them be successful in those classes, and really encouraging them to be persistent. Create a judgment-free zone. So I used to have the Planet Fitness thing, but I just switched the PowerPoint and I didn't bring over the graphic. But create a judgment-free zone. Students should never be afraid to ask a tutor, hey, I don't know how to do this. You gotta help me with this. You really wanna make sure that they feel comfortable. In doubt, ask a question. I know Kristen and Jody have probably pounded this into you guys. If you don't know something, ask a question, whether it's, can I work on this assignment with the student? Can we do this study guide? You know, I've never seen this type of assignment before. I don't know if a student can work on it. Ask lots of questions. And then the last thing is, you're never responsible for the successes and failures of your students. Those are theirs alone. So never do something to compromise your own integrity for the sake of a student's success. My old boss used to always say, failure is always an option. Okay, so never ever do anything that's going to compromise your integrity for the sake of the student. And then, does anybody have any questions? I used to put a Calvin Hobbes comic up here, but it always took people too long to read. It was really awkward, so I changed it to this. I hope you guys who are younger than me. Questions? For tutors who I know have been here for a year or 2 years or whatever, do you guys have anything to add? Any comments? All right, well, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your training.